international audience. That's what happens at every event we do now, because we have people from 195 countries that usually attend, because they don't have to travel. You don't have to go to the hotels. You don't have to rent the rooms. You don't have to pay for the airplanes. So I'm glad you're here. So tell me, what's the area of your life, Alex, first, that you are, we'll start with the one you're unhappy with, if you don't mind, and why?
So the one I'm unhappy with is relationships. I had a 0 on that, on intimate relationships.
Okay.
I'm unhappy about it. I just kind of have a fear of going into another relationship. I do have a really full life, and I find that, I spend a lot of time with my mum in her dementia place, so I have a lot of love and connection and things, and friends. But when it comes to the intimate relationship, part of my mind says, do I really need it? I have a full life, and I don't want to hurt someone. Yes. So that would be probably.
So the question is your desire driven by fear or desire?
Fear.
Yes. And a decision made from fear almost always creates pain. And so I feel for you, because we've all been through it. We've all been through the experience of being hurt by someone, or maybe hurt someone you didn't want to hurt, but it wasn't right. You needed to end it. It feels so horrible. But if you don't do it, you and I both know what the cost is. So notice her formula for unhappiness is her life conditions don't match how she thinks it should be. She tries to rationalize it to make it okay. She subs to sublimate it through other areas of love. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you lose a little bit of your hunger, but there's still this part inside that's empty. I know you know what I mean. So tell me, by the way, that's my job. That's what I help people turn around. I'm not going to try and do that in 2 seconds here. We're going to establish the gap so you can work on a plan. But let's do this. And I'm going to invite you to come to the seminar as my guest, because I just can't let you continue down this line. You're going to come to Unleash Power then in August 10th through the 13th as my guest. I don't want to take any chance that you stay in this place, because to me, love is the greatest gift on this planet. I have the woman of my dreams for the last 24 years, my wife Sage, and I have 5 children, 5 grandchildren. I can't think of anything more important, but that intimacy is the base of it. If you don't take care of that, there's a part of you that's empty, and I felt that too, so I know what that's like. I've been in a relationship. I don't know if any of you have been in a relationship where one person in and one person out, or you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you're planning your escape and you go, all right, I'm going to leave when the kids get out of high school, but they're 4, right? So it's a bit of a problem, right? But tell me an area you are happy with, and let's look at the difference in the formula. What's an area you are happy with in your life?
So I'm really happy with my finances, and it's kind of funny because it wasn't an area that I had any knowledge on when I started, but I just immersed myself totally into it. I read a load of books, including yours, and I sought information, and it felt like an adventure. It was really fun. And then I set up a system.
Yes.
I had that system running before I even got money in. I knew what the system was, and then when the money started coming in, I just knew exactly where to put it. So I really simplified the process. That was the area that I feel that I've kind of got really good control of.
I want you to notice, first of all, the formula. In this area, her finances, her life conditions match her blueprint, maybe even a little better than she'd hoped for at one stage. So so you can see the level of joy. Okay, intimate relationship doesn't match. So we see the formula. But I want you to also know you're a poster child then for, if you did the same thing relationship that you did with me on the financial side, I promise you, if it was an adventure instead of fear, if you were entering into it and you absorbed everything we teach you on relationships, and when you go to the seminar, there's a process we're going to teach you of how to get what's in the way. Because intellectually this is what you should do, but you're still not doing it. That's the part I can't convert you in an hour and a half or 2 hours here. We can set it up. But the transformation takes hours, and that's why we do it for days, right? But you'll have that experience. So you stay on the line. I'm going to gift that to you because I want you to change this. Give her a big hand here for Alex. Give her a big hand, everybody. So let's look at the formula for unhappiness real quick. It's really simple. Notice, see if this is true for you. Whatever you wrote down you're unhappy with, why were you unhappy? Isn't it because your life conditions do not match your blueprint or your expectations? So you're unhappy in this area. In this area, you think life should be different than it is, and it's not. So there's a gap, and the gap makes you unhappy. Raise your hand if that's true for you as well. Make some noise if it was true for you as well. All right, so our goal then is to see what we can do. Now, by the way, here's the third level. I won't make you all go through it for time's sake. But how many of you have ever suffered? How many have ever been in a situation where the pain would not go away, where it felt like the dark night of the soul, like something in your relationship or your finances or your career or your body just felt impossible and it was never going to get better and you had enormous pain about it? Who can relate to having some suffering at some point in your life around this area, right? Well, then guess what? There's a formula for suffering. I'll just give it to you really fast. When your life conditions don't match your blueprint, they don't match how you think it should be, you're unhappy. But when your life conditions don't match your blueprint and you believe you can do nothing, you believe you're powerless to change those life conditions, then now you're going to suffer. So I'll give you an example real fast. I was approached, I've done this work for decades, turning people around, and I get calls from celebrities or people representing them a lot of times, athletes, business people, actors. And a lot of actors are brilliant people, but the nature of their business is very emotional. And so sometimes they're humans. They have huge challenges, even though everything's going well. So without revealing name, because I don't reveal the work I do with people, that's why people come to me, unless they share it publicly. But I'll give you a simple example. A woman comes to me that if I mention her name, I don't care if you're from Australia or the US, you would recognize this person's name, very famous person. And this is, without revealing who it is, just give you some criteria, qualities of this person. Super intelligent person, super smart, really beautiful, aesthetically beautiful person, really beautiful inside, meaning lots of great friends that love her, master of her craft, one of the best in the world at what she does, very financially wealthy at this stage, and totally depressed. How do you explain that? And one of the people that knew the work I did and saw me do the kind of work I do, I think they saw, years ago, they saw the documentary I told you about, Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru, on Netflix, and they were inspired. So they called me up and said, I'm going to tell something very private. This person, very famous, they're super depressed. They're on 3 different antidepressants and they're still depressed. I'm wondering, I've seen you do this magical stuff. Do you think it could help them? And I said, yes. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm just saying it because I've done it all over the earth for people from every walk of life. But I can tell you why I know the answer is yes. Because they explain this person as all these things: rich, famous, happy, smart, all these great things, lots of love, but so depressed. And I said, that's because this person, I don't know the content, but this person's life conditions don't match their blueprint, their expectation. Even though everything else for you think you'd be happy, it's not matching their blueprint. And I said, I can help them to shift this. So they introduced me to this person, this woman, and she spent the first 15 minutes, I felt so bad for her, like apologizing why she's not happy, knowing she should be happy. She can't believe she's depressed. She has no excuse. And I just listened because I know she just needed to express it. And when she was done, I said, you don't need to apologize. I can tell you why you're depressed and why these drugs aren't working. By the way, how many of you know someone who takes antidepressants and they're still depressed? Make some noise if you know somebody who takes antidepressants and they're still depressed. It's wild, isn't it? Because all antidepressants do is they numb you. By the way, on the side of the package, it says can create suicidal thoughts, right? In case you were just depressed, now you're suicidal. It's unbelievable. And Newsweek did a story on a new meta-study that showed SSRIs, those are these drugs, they don't actually get rid of the depression. In fact, I'll tell you at the end here, Stanford did a study with us. Unbelievable results. 100% of the people turned around in less than 6 days. But here's the point. I said to her, your life conditions, the way your life is right now is beautiful in so many ways, but there's a part of what you expect, your blueprint for life, that is not being met. That would make you unhappy. But the reason you're suffering, I don't know what the content is, but you'll tell me, it's something you believe you can't change. And her face, her eyes got really big, like with shock. And she said, how could you know this? I said, well, I don't know the content, but I know the formula. And she said, well, I said, will you please share it with me? And the long story short, and real quick, she had this dream of not just being rich and famous and millions of people you don't know loving you. She had this dream of having this ultimate relationship with a man and 3 perfect children, a white picket fence, and you get the picture. And she didn't have this man. She had a lot of men in her life, but didn't have this man that stayed, and she had no children. And here's why she was suffering. Without revealing who she is, she was at a stage of life biochemically that, barring a medical miracle, she couldn't have children. So now all she does is suffer. And so I said to her, sometimes we get caught up in our blueprint. And I want you to understand something. If you're unhappy with your life, all of us right now, if you're listening to me, if there's an area, your body or your relationship or your business or your finances or your emotions, it's not where you want it to be, you only have a few choices. Choice 1, ignore it. That doesn't work, right? And so what most people do, they ignore it at first, and then choice 1 becomes blame. That's our society today. Become a victim. It's my parents, it's society, it's capitalism, it's something outside ourselves. And then eventually, when we stop blaming events or our parents or other people, we blame ourselves. And blame never changes. Even blaming yourself, trying to show you're being responsible, that's not responsible, because when you beat yourself up, your energy lowers. When your energy lowers, you don't follow through. You don't follow through, it's a vicious cycle. You create more of the same bad results. How many follow this? Say aye if you hear me. So the first choice is do nothing and or blame, but that doesn't change anything. The second choice, the only real choice, is change your life, change your body, change your relationship, change the way you're feeling. And there's tons of ways we show you're going to, if you go to Unleash Power Within, you're going to rewire yourself. So you automatically do those things. It's like building a muscle. If you do it enough times, it becomes automatic. There's muscle there. You're not trying to think. By the way, it doesn't hurt. That's okay, ma'am. I saw you jump. Just my hand, that's all. I know they're big hands. It's okay. But the point is, if you don't like it, change it. Lose the weight. There's ways to do it. Anything you want to change, you could change. Even the fact that you have not succeeded in the past tells me you're not in the right state to do it, not enough energy focus, or it tells me you got the wrong plan. But we can change that. We can close this gap. But sometimes changing your life is not enough. You have to also change your blueprint. Her blueprint is, I got to have 3 perfect children. And by the way, she eventually said to me, well, I don't know if I have to have the man anymore, but I need the 3 children. And I said to her, so I know what you're saying to me is, you want certain love, because you're not certain the man will stay, but you're certain your children will. I said, so why don't you adopt? And then I understood even more. She goes, oh, I can't adopt. They may someday want to find their real mother. So she wanted certain love, which, by the way, in an intimate relationship, if it's certain love, it gets boring. We need aliveness. So I said to her, so you want certain love? And I said, you think if you have 3 blood children, they'll always love you. You've clearly never had a 16-year-old, right? Who knows what I'm talking about? Make some noise out there. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because I got 5 kids and 5 grandkids. I have a 48-year-old daughter and I have a 2-year-old daughter. I got the full range. Trust me on this, right? So there's stages where that'll happen too. So I don't have the time to tell you the whole story, but eventually what I did is I got her off the drugs, because that's stopping. We had to do it slowly so she didn't have a reaction. And then I got her to find love in other ways till she was so filled with love, because she'd say, I don't know what it is. I know I'm an attractive woman. I know this, but somehow guys just don't stick with me. I said, because you're looking at him going, is he the one? Are we going to have a child together? Let's do this now. You know, most men, I don't care how attractive you are, kind of freak out on the first date. You got that mode, right? So guess what happened? Within about, I don't know, I don't want to be accurate, more than 6 months, probably 7, 8 months, she comes back to me. She's been off all the drugs. She's really happy and fulfilled. She goes, I don't need a relationship now because I have so much love in my life and so fulfilled, but I'm open to one now. I'm not like starving, but I'm open. I really am truly open for the first time. And about a year and a half later, she met this man. They had a relationship. They're together still. And the cool thing about it is she doesn't have any kids and she's happy as could be, because what she really wanted was love that wouldn't go away. Does that make sense? But sometimes we got to change our blueprint. Sometimes we got to change our life. Ideally, we change our life and our blueprint. How many follow this? Say aye. Oh, come on. Say aye. All right. In your chair, create some energy once again, ladies and gentlemen. Wake it up in your chair. Come on. sound that makes you feel good as loud as you can. Make a sound that feels good. Come on. Now, by the way, how many of you like to sing when no one's around? How many like to sing when no one's around, right? How many like to sing even though you don't sound good? Makes them just shake it. Making sound, even just emoting sound, changes your biochemistry. It changes your state. That's why, like, if you go to a great basketball game or championship, something, and you get all excited, most people express it with sound in their body. But we don't celebrate our life enough. You can change your biochemistry by the way you move, by the way you breathe. That's a discussion for another day. But let's do this. Look, if there's an area you're doing great in, an area you're not, then let's see if we can't focus on the area that's not. How would we make it better? And by the way, if you listen to that last woman, she shared with you how she changed her finances. She went on an adventure. She tried things she'd never done before. She immersed herself day and night in all this financial material. She learned the strategies they teach. She put the system in place even before she had the money. Then she put little bits of money, then it grew and grew, and now she's where she wants to be. Well, that's pretty much the formula for anything. If she does that in relationship, it'll happen too. She has to overcome the fear, right? And again, that's what we do in a live event when you're doing 11 hours a day with me. You can imagine you build some muscle over 4 days and nights till it's drilled into you. But right now, if I never see you again, what's the simplest way to think about how to change an area you're not happy with? Well, if anything's going to improve significantly, you need what I call the 3 pillars of progress. Jot them down real quick. The first pillar, the first thing you need that's going to give you stability to change something is you got to get laser focused. You got to get focused on what it is you want, not what you don't want. And you got to make it clear and compelling with big reasons why you want to do it. So let me clarify. Most people, if you say, what do you want? What do they tell you? They just tell you what they don't want. Isn't it true? They'll say, oh, well, I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to be in a relationship like this. I don't want to hurt anybody. Remember her? I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to get hurt. Well, when you're constantly focused on what you don't want, where focus goes, energy flows. And that's what you get more of. So you might say, well, Tony, you say get focused. I'm focused on the fact that I need to lose 30 pounds. Well, yes, but you're not focused on what you want, really. You're focused on how you feel about not achieving it. So you got to get clear what you want. And make a note of this. Write down, clarity is power. Clarity is power. The more specific and clear you are about what you want, and then secondly, why do you want it? Please jot down, reasons come first, answers come second. I had an original teacher named Jim Rohn. I don't know if you ever heard of him. I learned from him when I was 17 years old. I went to work for him. Beautiful man. And he used to always say, Tony, reasons come first, answers come second. If you get a big enough why to do something, and you know what it is you want specifically, you'll figure out how. You need the why first. And I found it to be totally true. So the question is, what do you really want? Not what you don't want. And you need to be specific because you go, well, I want to lose some weight. Fine, you lose a pound and your subconscious mind goes, I've already achieved it. We lost some weight. Or I want more money. Fine, here's $1. Get out of here. You got more money, right? So you got to be very specific about what you want and specific and clear. And you got to know why. Someone says, well, I want to make $1 billion. Most people never do it. Why? What do you want it for? I want to make $1 million. I want to make $100,000. You don't want to, why? I want to buy a home for my mom. Oh, how will that make you feel? What that's about? That reason is going to drive you more than a number. You follow me? I want to send my kids to school overseas. I want to provide, 1 billion meals, whatever. The why of you doing that, what that's going to feel like, what's going to be like, what's going to experience, that's what's going to change your life. So in the area you're not happy with, instead of just going, I'm unhappy, you need to set a target, a vision. This is what I want. On a 0 to 10, I want to be a 10 or a 9 or an 8, whatever. And here's what that looks like specifically in a measured way. And this is why I'm really committed to that. That is going to get you moving forward to where you can start to find answers. Make sense? The second pillar, now, by the way, how many have ever done this? How many have ever gotten so focused on something you wanted, you couldn't stop thinking about it, you thought about it day and night, and you didn't even have a plan? And stuff happened. You met somebody, you bumped into something, somebody at Starbucks, somebody gave you an insight, and you achieved the goal. Who's ever had something you wanted so badly, didn't even have a plan, and things came together? Raise your hand if you've had that experience. Make some noise. So sometimes just clarity And focus and reasons is enough for our brain to start to make it happen. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Big words, RAS. It determines what you notice. So when you buy a car, an outfit, you see that car outfit anywhere, everywhere. Why? Because the RAS says, I own one, so now it's important. Those cars were always around you. Those outfits were around you, but you notice them now. If you set that specific goal, you know the why, and you're in Starbucks and someone's talking about real estate and you decide you want to invest in real estate, even though they're 4 tables over, you'll hear it. Who understands what I'm talking about as experiences? Say I. The second pillar, though, it's not enough just to be clear. That'll get you momentum. But then step number 2 is you need the right strategy, the best proven strategies. If there's anything I learned from my teacher, Jim Rohn, it was success leaves clues. And that I needed, if I saw someone who had lost weight and kept it off for 10 years and they were still fit, then they aren't lucky. They're doing something different than me. I got to figure out what they're doing. If I sow the same seeds, I reap the same rewards. If someone had no money, just as I grew up with nothing, and he became financially free and independent and wealthy even, helped others, what are they doing different? Because if you find the right strategy, I've spent my whole life, and this is what Unleash the Power Within is. And again, I hope you'll come join me. I'm not selling it in any way. It's got a money-back guarantee you can't lose, and it's 4 days. And I promise you, in 4 days, you will transform. You talk to anybody who's been through it, go online and read all the reviews from people. There's nothing like it, because it's been perfected literally over 46 years. But in that process, part of what we get you to do is figure out the right strategies. The right strategy in your business can save you 10 years. The right strategy in your life can change it all. But listen, what if you've got really clear goals? You know what you want to do. You know what you want to achieve. You know why you want to do it. But you got the wrong strategy. It's not going to work. I'll give you a stupid metaphor. If your goal was to see a sunset, and then your plan or your strategy is start running east, I don't care how positive you are, right? I don't care how enthusiastic you are. It's not going to work.